Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be talking to you about how much you can get paid as a freelance web developer or engineer in Japan, and I'll be going over quite a few topics here, so check out the timestamps for the relevant parts. I'd like to try to make this as, like most of my videos, as honest as possible. I'll be giving my own experiences as a freelance engineer and how much I was able to make in certain points of my career. And remember, this is just my opinion from my experience and what I see around me. What you find in other information on other websites or people you talk to might be completely different. So just keep that in mind. So I've got quite a few topics here. So first off, we'll go through hourly rates, complexity, urgency of a project, longevity of a project, hourly rates calculation, the skill level. Talk about freelance maxing. So I'll try to be quite straight up with the numbers here, and these are based on hourly rates, or let's say monthly rates as an engineer. We'll start off with the hourly rates, and you can be charging between 1,000 yen to ichiman plus per hour. Let's just make that ichiman nisen if you can get that a really good project. But to be safe, in most cases, it'll be around ichiman to the max. The maximum amount you can bill for 1 hour. The 1,000 yen to you might sound really low because that's how much you get paid at a konbini, or probably even more at a konbini, a baito, some type of side project, a side job type of hustle. And the maximum of ichiman is quite a bit. So if you do that monthly, if you think of it monthly, it'll be monthly it'll be 16万 to 160万 around, based on these hourly rates. I think that's the correct math there. And you could be getting paid anywhere in between these. So if I just said this to you and you can go, okay, that's it, I know how much I can get paid, of course this is not the full picture, but we're going to go around the factors that can affect how much you make an hour. It's not so simple as saying I charge this much an hour. Well, it could be that simple, but I don't think it is as simple as that. And just to be so quite open about how much I can charge around the goseien or goseien chotto, like that's basically my charge. So if you are able to charge goseien, it basically means you're reaching that 80 man a month, that kind of the 800,000 yen a month. That's if you freelance. But remember, like when you see these numbers, you go, oh wow, you can make that. But remember, if you don't have a project for a month, you are minus that. If you're spending a lot of money, let's say you have a 6-month project and they pay you, even if that 6-month project pays you like ichiman a month, and that's your charge, you can charge only ichiman an hour, and you get this much per month, and you only have a project for 6 months. What about the other 6 months, right? So you got to kind of think, as a freelance engineer, the more hours, the more experience you get, you kind of have to learn a bit more about business and how you want to maximize your profits, obviously. I know some engineers don't like to talk about these kind of things, but ultimately you're working so hard, right? I know I work in IT. You work so hard, so you really have to push these up. So these are the hourly rates. And the reason I said saying is because there are projects out there where if you're a newbie, right? This is a great thing with Japan. If you're an absolute noob, there's still opportunities around. But you have to be living in Japan for most of these opportunities, where you can just get paid like the seien, $10 an hour, to get some experience in a project. And then so these are the hourly rates, and then your monthly. Okay, so I think I better go jump to the hourly rates calculation. So we have something in the IT world, and I think if you're a employee, you don't really think about this. So you're charged by monthly man hours in most cases, and in most cases you're not project based. You're a part of a team, a kind of small team probably. You're helping with that team for a few months, and then they'll ask you, what's your monthly man hour charge? Like, how much do you charge per month? That's usually what it is. It's sometimes they'll ask me, what's your hourly rate? But then I think many cases they'll calculate it a different way. So if you have a monthly man-hour rate, how much you want to get charged a month. Okay, let's say you go, okay, I'm 80만 a month, right? And trust me, this is not crazy. Don't think this is a crazy number. This is not a crazy number, guys. Some of you guys who work in IT companies, like Japanese companies, let's say you're getting paid, your company pays you this much a month. You're working your generic software engineering company. They have to charge their clients around this much, or at least, I mean, if you're getting 50만 a month, they have to charge their clients at least 80만, because you know that most of these IT companies are not what I call, like, they're not well-oiled machines. So this is not a crazy number. This is not a crazy number, because if a dude like me can get this number a month, you know that someone else can get, someone who's really skilled can get a lot more. So let's just say your monthly man hours is 80만. Should we make it lower? It doesn't matter. Let's just say 80만 per month. What they do is they calculate it by 20 days per month, right? And usually, okay, most cases you'll have 20 days per month which you can work. And then that's how they divided the 800,000 by those 20 days. What happens now is that you're guaranteeing them, you're working 160 hours per month, right? So you guarantee them 160 hours per month for 80만, in my case, let's say that, right? And then what happens now is that, this is a bit of extra information you should know, is that these contracts give like a 10 or 20 hours. You're giving them possibly overtime of 10 or 20 hours. And this happens with a lot of engineering contracts anyway, or work contracts in Japan, where you're not paid for overtime until you go over a certain amount of hours. These hours vary, so you have to check the contract for that. What that means is that if I work 170, I'm still charged the 80만. It's only if I go over the 180, then I can start billing a little extra more. So what I'm trying to say now is that you don't want to do overtime, either as an employee or as a freelance. So we just make it simple. You charge around 5,000 yen an hour, 5,000 yen an hour for 8 hours, 20 days per month, right? Another quick thing, I'm always giving you some a bit of information back in your everyday work. If you're working as an employee, you can't really juggle your hours around. You're kind of restricted to a certain time, or like, you can't really use your weekend as working hours. As freelance, the contract might say like Monday to Friday or something, but you can just say, okay, I want to reduce my hours. Instead of working 8 hours, I'm working 4 hours, and on Saturday I'm going to work the extra 4 hours to make up for the one day. So that's something that you can do as well. Or maybe one day you're going to go hard and just work like 14 hours straight or something. That's also possible. So you can kind of adjust your time, the time you work. So this is going outside the hourly rates calculation, but more or less somehow it's all connected, right? We move on. The complexity of the project you're in, this will also determine your hourly rates, or how much they are willing to pay you. Let's just say it's a real simple site. You can't really charge so much if it's a simple, some jQuery website or something. I mean, it can get quite complex with jQuery. It's actually probably a lot harder these days to make a full app. But what I'm trying to say is, if there's a Next.js app router project, the complexity and to be able to find someone who can code in that library or anything close to it is quite hard. And in that case, you can raise these rates based on the complexity. Okay, and with complexity, we have to add in another factor. So what happens now is that you might say, Taro, you're a soydev. Why would they pay you 80만 a month or 70만 a month? You're just like, why? And yeah, I probably shouldn't be paid that, but I do. What happens is there's urgency. 3 months to deployment. They've got all these bugs you have to fix. they need someone to help them. And this also means now is that you should understand this as well, that the freelance engineers get paid more than the local engineers in the company. And I think at first I didn't understand why, but you can see why. They're not paying you to work in the company as an employee. They're paying you to fix bugs and help deploy features within 3 months, and then bye see you. You know, which is, you are just selling your services, which is quite a different way to think about your work than if you were an employee. So urgency can also help you raise your hourly rates. Yeah, so this video I'm talking to you about how you can also raise your rates and why you should raise your rates based on different circumstances. So from urgency, longevity, there's something really important too to remember, that if you can get a 1-year contract, you can reduce your rates a little, because it kind of gives you some, I think it's called a, what do they call it? Retainer? Is that it? I don't know. It's a retainer or something. So let's say you can get a 1-year project and they guarantee me 1 year. I go, okay, well, none of you is fine then. Let's do none of you. I'm happy with that. The reason is because that means you don't have to look for a project for 1 whole year. If it's a similar type of project, it's only 3 months. Well, then, okay, well, it's only 3 months and you can't guarantee me anything after. I'm going to have to charge you QZUMA per month, right? So, you know, Tyron, why would they give you that? Because there is no company I know that would accept a 3-month project, right? Even if you have an engineer open for 3 months, you wouldn't sign a contract. In most cases that I've seen, for 3 months, you'd use a freelance engineer. Okay, there's something to. This is why it's really important to remember that you can work. I'll give you a case. Look, if you can, if you're a competent engineer, you can charge the 100 man, 1 million yen per month quite easily. To be honest, I've seen if I can make this, right, or even Nanaju, a skilled engineer should be able to make 100 man. If you have really cheap, you know, if you're really cheap and you save a lot and you don't really spend much, you can own, if you don't have problem with visa, maybe you have a spouse visa, maybe you have a whatever visa, you can only just work 3 months, make your 3 million yen and just chill out. Especially if you have like an Akia or, you know, extremely cheap rent, or you live with your wife's parents. I don't know, you can figure out. So you can just live off that. This discussion is going everywhere, like all my videos. But longevity would also change how much. Some companies will only accept a year project, or some companies will go, oh, we only want 6 months minimum. And then some companies say 6 months minimum per one of our devs, and then we only accept this per month per dev, right? Which is why paying someone like me this much is a discount. It's cheap. Paying this for 3 months, they've got a great that's a massive discount. But Tyron, why don't they just no. Shh. Trust me, that's how it is. This is what I see, what I've been seeing for the past 8 years. And you probably don't even want to work a whole year. Maybe you just want to work 6 months a year. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go to our. Oh no, we just talked about that skill level. This is quite a difficult one too, right? So I'll give you my case as well. I have worked over 8 years now, and I've kind of describe myself as like a solo dev. I just work by myself a lot. Even though I work in teams, I just hop around to projects as a freelance engineer. And I've worked, how would I say, I'm fine to work alone and I'll get it done. So sometimes they like that. They want that. And that's worth more than an employee who's always waiting to make sure things are fine, kind of just waiting back. And so in many cases of freelance, you have to actively be like, okay, what am I doing? Who's this? And you want to make sure that you're getting the job done, because you're selling your services rather than being an employee. Even though your company is selling you as a service, you yourself are selling yourself as a service. So if you fail, you're done. If the company fails, if you fail in the company takes the hit. So the skill level, okay, that's kind of not really skill level, but let's talk about front end, back end specialist. And I think I'll make another video about specialization and is it really worth it to be like a full-on front end guy, or be the back end guy, or be the full-on DevOps guys? From my experience, you kind of, as a freelance, you can be just a front end guy and get paid well. You can be a back end guy and get paid well. That over 80주만, whatever, over 90주만, you can do that. That's absolutely fine. And I think you want to be either, I think, so I call myself a solid, I don't even know if I'm solid, but I call myself a mid engineer, for a mid-stack engineer. And you kind of want to be one of these three, right? You either want to be a front-end specialist, back-end specialist, or a solid mid-stack engineer. What is a mid-stack engineer? So first, we know front-end. When you have a front-end engineer that's worth 80주만, you know that they understand they can probably use Figma quite well. They're not designers, but they can add in their own flair to a project. They understand design principles in terms of color schemas, readability for people with impaired vision, I think it's called, stuff like that. And they understand all these concepts, and they can bring forth these kind of ideas into a project. A front-end engineer skill set that can be paid well would also be able to make their own components without libraries, right? They can make in React or Vue, whatever library they're using, they can make all their components. They can scaffold a front-end application. That's probably scaffolded a front-end application, set up everything, lint, TypeScript. Of course, you have to use TypeScript these days to get paid well. And then they can get whatever the designers on Figma, they can produce that in code, in front-end code. They can set up everything on GitHub. They don't have to know DevOps exactly, but in these days you kind of have to learn everything. I think even if you're a front-end guy, you have to learn a lot of things that aren't exactly front-end. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about Next.js, because apparently in Next now you got to be a DevOps guy now. You got the whole thing. You got to learn the whole stack, and your salary doesn't go exactly as it doesn't go so much. But so now the backend specialist, let's be honest, you're just making REST APIs. You have your server side. So I'm not going to tell you what these. Okay, I'll stop talking about what you do. We're just saying that's your skill level will be directly correlated to how much you can charge. If you're a low level of either of these, freelance is possible, but you won't be lead. You'll just be like assisting. So when you start being the lead, that's when you can start making easily the over 80주만 a month, right? Or 80주만 plus, at least 70 as lead. I am on a project now as my second freelance project, and I'm basically the solo dev and lead dev, and it gets tough at times, but some ways it's easier than joining a team and waiting for things to happen, and someone telling you that the way you're doing this is wrong, so forth. So lead dev automatically puts you up a tier to over the let's call it the 80주만 club. Let's call it the Hachi club. Okay, that sounds really not cool at all. Anyway, so skill level will be based on those three. As I said, if you're good at leading a team, I mean that's just, you're awesome. And I think there's not many leaders out there, regardless of IT. There are very few leaders, and if they're anyway. High demand stack. High demand stack. What are we talking about now? So let's talk about quickly we're not going to go, okay, this is about how much you get paid, right? But I don't want to go too deep into stacks. And okay, I think that's it for skill level. We're going to move on to freelance maxing. What is this about? Why did I write this? Okay, so now you have your hourly rates. You know the hourly rates, and it's something that I've been doing, I don't know if I should say it, for the past like 3 or 4 months, probably 4 months nearly, and I'll have a video all about this separately. But I call it freelance maxing. It's when you just maximize your time to work on projects, and you kind of have this two two projects at once, and you work from morning to evening and then evening to morning kind of thing. So one is like your full-time freelance project, and then the second one could be like a part-time freelance project. And I know that this might be better for some of the viewers here who are actually working in a company but are quite scared to go into the freelance route. So you can do this maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and then you can you can get nice pocket money for the month, save up to go back home because the yen's so weak, right? And you go back home and you got no money. So freelance maxing, at least, I say the 2x is at least 2x of your income. So that's how you should think of it too, is that you don't just work the freelance maxing means you don't just work from your normal job from 9 till 6. You can work in the evenings or nights and then make more money. Work on the weekend, work one day per week, make an extra a couple thousand I don't know how much you can make from depending on your hourly rate. But I could freelance max this, and then you freelance this, and then you got so let's say one project can get you 7 million yen. The other one you're working a lot less, 5 million yen, right? So let's say you're getting 1 million Japanese yen a month. Then you do that for 3 or 4 months, and you're basically made. You do it for 5 months. You basically made pretty decent. I don't recommend it to most people, but if you want to retire young, there's an option. Just do this. Just freelance max for 5 years. I don't know if you can retire after 5 years, but you get what I'm saying. Get an aki or something. So freelance maxing is not just about the money. It's about your time. It's about your freedoms. I'm preaching, and we're going to move on. I think that's everything I want to say about how much you can make as a freelance engineer. I wasn't going to show any examples online. I'm just going to tell you what I think and know. I hope that can help you out there kind of understand how to charge for projects yourself in Japan. I'm not saying this is the perfect way to think of it. This is just only one way to think of it, and I'm trying to get better at this myself. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the Discord, or of course comment below. If you want to make fun of my curtains or whatever you want to do, feel free to do that. There's my Discord, LinkedIn, and I think that's it for today. Till next time, I'll try to make some more information about freelancing in Japan.